What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well. So for today's video, as you see in the title and the thumbnail, I'm going to be discussing a child pornography case that involves the son of a lieutenant. J.D. Comer is the lieutenant that works for the Mendocino County Sheriffs Office. He is in charge of the coastal sector, so like the Fort Bragg area in Mendocino County in Northern California. I did a video on this some months back. So I'm not going to get into the full details regarding the video. I've had a lot of new subscribers since then. Some of you guys haven't watched that video or some of my old stuff. So just a little quick recap on it though. So internet crimes against children, it's like a task force basically out of Sacramento that monitors child pornography websites, like actual real child pornography. I'm talking like little kids and stuff like that, like the realest shit that you can see. They had a few different hits that came back to, Mendocino County, residents in Mendocino County. So they wrote up all the paperwork. They sent it to the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. Detectives there did a search warrant. They realized that the internet provider was Comcast. They confirmed with Comcast and realized that the child pornography was being watched more than one time at J.D. Comer's house. Like, there's no disputing it. The name, the address, the everything. There's no disputing it. There's no car that rolled up in front of his house, hopped on his Wi-Fi, and started watching kid porn. So for those of you that did say that, no. So this was September 25th of 2019, and nobody looked into it. So I did that video on it. I'll link the video in the description. Nobody looked into it. It was a very, very clear cover-up done by the Sheriff's Office. Matt Kendall, the sheriff in Mendocino County, was aware of it. The DA's office was aware of it. Nobody did anything with it. 2.5 years went by on this case, a little over 2.5 years now. What's supposed to happen is that should have been dealt with in a month. The turnaround should have been like a month, if that. They should have confirmed it. They should have hit the house. They should have seized all electronic devices. They should have confirmed who was watching the child pornography. Whoever it was should have been arrested. J.D. Comer, since he is a lieutenant with the Sheriff's Office, should have been put on administrative leave pending an IA. None of those things got done because of his hookup with the Sheriff Matt Kendall and the fact that he's in an administrative position, and how's that going to reflect on the Sheriff's Office. So nobody ever did anything of it. So a couple weeks ago, I got really tired of that. I got tired of nobody doing anything with it. It's child pornography. I have a daughter. She's 3 years old. It makes me sick to my stomach to think that somebody out there is doing something like that, and especially knowing that fact, and nobody's looking into it. So this entire time, instead of Matt Kendall or anybody else at the Sheriff's Office trying to dive deeper into this case, they were running around down there at the Sheriff's Office trying to find out who was providing me that information to get them in trouble, to put them off on an internal affairs investigation or fire them or whatever. They weren't concerned with the fact that one of their that child pornography was being watched at one of the lieutenants' homes. They were concerned with who was providing me information. That's it. So that's what they were doing this entire time. They were looking into anything whatsoever. The Lieutenant J.D. Comer wasn't put off on leave or anything like that. It went completely, like, they acted like it didn't even exist. Now, a couple weeks ago, like I said, I got tired of nothing getting done by it. So I personally called the FBI. I talked to 2 separate agents regarding this case. I provided them all the information that I was aware of. Now, what's funny is the fact that, I had a lot of people that were like, well, JD, the lieutenant, has an adult son in his 20s that also lives at JD's home. They're like, well, what if it's JD's son? And I'm, I don't care. I don't care if it's his son or if it's JD. Somebody in that home is watching child pornography and it needs to get investigated and dealt with. You can say like, oh, what if this, what if that? But at the end of the day, like, you need to do what you would normally do with any other person. Just because he's a cop or it's a cop's home, they're not above the law. This should be dealt with in even more of an extreme manner. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I had a lot of people say that. So a couple weeks ago, like I said, so I called the FBI, and then his son just gets arrested 2 days ago, May 15th, at approximately 10:30 in the morning. So that's the kid, Bailey Comer, who's in the thumbnail. That's his son. And Bailey, up until not that long ago, was in the background process to be a deputy with the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. He didn't continue in the process. I don't know the reasoning behind that, but the Sheriff's Office was aware of this child pornography case when he was going through this process. So I don't even know why they allowed him to even apply or anything like that if he was a potential suspect for this, the child pornography case. So magically, after I reported to the FBI, this kid gets arrested 2 weeks later. Now, there's no arresting information. There's no, like, there's no agency it doesn't say which agency arrested him, which tells me one thing, that this was a pre-arranged turn-in date, meaning that somebody contacted him and said, okay, you have this until this date to turn yourself in to the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. So he went down, he booked himself in. The turnaround time on this is 33 minutes. So he booked himself in and was released with zero bail 33 minutes later. He was charged with child pornography. Now, that penal code is technically a wobbler, meaning it can be charged as a felony or as a misdemeanor in the state of California. Now, everybody that's been a cop or anything like that or worked in the jail or whatever, everyone knows this. You always charge up. So if something's a wobbler, you always charge the felony, you charge the highest level of crime, and then you let the district attorney's office drop it, or, whatever the case is, if they want to make a plea deal or whatever, it can get dropped to a misdemeanor. I don't know why child pornography is even a wobbler. I mean, that fact alone blows my mind. But they charged him with the misdemeanor section of child pornography, and he was released, just off to go live his life. Now, the only reason I can think that was done is because when somebody is charged with a felony, the sheriff's office has to do a press release. So they, put it on Facebook. They release it like, this person was arrested for this crime. This is what occurred, blah, 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 blah. My reasoning, that my thought process behind that is they're still trying to keep this as quiet as possible. They're trying to keep it under wraps. Because this is a lieutenant's son. Like, how is this going to look on the sheriff's office now that the FBI forced their hand to do something about it? Because clearly they weren't going to do anything. I mean, this is years have gone by, at this point, and they're obviously nothing's going to get done. So he's been booked and released. My personal opinion, I don't know if he was the one that was watching it. He could have been taking the fall for his dad, for JD. I don't have any proof of that, guys. I'm not saying that JD was the one watching the child pornography. I'm just not fully convinced, especially with everything that has gone on up until this point. Also, all you deputies down in Ukiah that doubted me and thought that I was full of shit or I'm making stuff up regarding, especially this child pornography case. Guess I wasn't, was I? No, because I tell you guys the truth. I tell you all the facts, and it's a lot of the lieutenant jock riders down there that think that these guys in the command staff level are like angels and they've never done anything wrong, and it's impossible that they could be involved in these sorts of things. And it's really not, guys. It's not that far-fetched. This shit happens all the time. Just like look at the news. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's what's going on with that. And Matt Kendall also, couple things with that too. So the sheriff's office can ignore a child pornography case, completely ignore it for over 2.5 years, right? And when they finally arrest the suspect because they're forced to by, the FBI, they charge him with a misdemeanor and let him out right away. Now, a prior video I did on an ex-deputy that worked at the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office on the coast that overdosed on heroin in his own home, because he was having major mental health issues, that JD Comer, and along with a lot of other supervisors at the sheriff's office, didn't acknowledge, and they didn't allow him to take time off or get help for these things. So they charged that guy that overdosed on heroin in his own home with 2 separate felonies. And like I said, I'm not going to get into all of it because I did a prior video on it already. Charged that dude with 2 separate felonies, being under the influence of a controlled substance, with having his duty weapons there at the same time, in possession of 2 loaded operable firearms. Matt Kendall did a press release for it on Facebook stating what happened. He didn't drop his name or anything, but, they said that this, on the coast, people were able to figure it out. Charged him with 2 felonies. Matt Kendall wanted him arrested that night, which they didn't do because he was in the hospital in the ER due to, he overdosed, so they couldn't book him into jail. Did all these things to this dude. But where's the press release on this child pornography arrest, Matt Kendall? Why did you ignore it for 2.5 years, Kendall? Like, what, you have zero, there's no excuse for that. You went on that podcast with, Drew and Carter, saying that I'm making shit up and, you guys are going to deal with me or whatever. I'm terrified, by the way, as you can tell. And obviously I'm not full of shit, man. Like, cause everything I'm saying about you guys is the truth. It's just crazy to me. How, I don't understand, like, how you can charge someone, you know what I'm saying, that overdoses in their own home with 2 separate felonies and do all that crazy shit. And this kid, you're just because he's your lieutenant's son, this isn't being publicized whatsoever. You're still trying to hide it. You're still trying to minimize it as much as you possibly can. And God only knows what evidence you guys even got from that. Like, was a search warrant done in the house like it should have been? Were all the electronic devices seized in that home like they should have been from day one, not 2.5 years later? Like, what are you guys doing? And Matt Kendall, you're a joke, dude. Like, I regret not running against you when I had the chance, because I know I would have won. I've had so many people the last like few days sending me photographs of them writing my name in on the ballot, because obviously the elections are coming up for sheriff. Nobody likes you, man. You're doing a horrible job, and your corruption and your good old boys club bullshit, it runs way too deep. And the fact of the matter is that you can let this stuff go on and not care or do anything about it and continue to cover for these guys. That is an attestament to your character, which is non-existent. You've changed for the worst. You're garbage. I hope that if you are elected, because you're going to be elected by default, obviously, even though you've never ran. So Tom Allman left over, half his term, and Kendall was appointed to that position for a reason. I'm not going to get into that reason. I know what it is, but that was done intentionally. So Matt Kendall gets this position from under sheriff to sheriff because Tom Allman, the old sheriff, left. And then now he's going to get it again by default. He's never had to run for an election. Actually, technically speaking, because there was so much time left when Allman left, there should have been another re-election. Kendall should not have been allowed to legally slide into that spot automatically. So that wasn't done correctly either. Also, I'm not fully convinced with this child pornography thing that it was Bailey. And it could be. I'm not saying that, this is just an opinion. He was gone at school a lot of this time, and I vaguely remember hearing that when some of these hits of this child pornography were taking place at J.D. Comer's house, his son was away at college or at lineman school or something like that. He was out of the state. So don't quote me on that, guys, but I do vaguely remember hearing something about that. But in terms of the corruption and the scandals and the shadiness that goes on with the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, it would not surprise me one bit if that was the case. You know what I mean? So who knows what the actual truth of the matter is. I do know that they tried to screw over one of the cops at the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office that was involved in this case. They put him off on an internal affairs investigation because they thought that he was providing me information. I know this because a supervisor that is employed at the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office told me that. And Matt Kendall, that guy did not provide me any of that information. Okay, I've already done it. I've already explained this in a video. Your homeboy, Jim Snitches, who was a sergeant at the sheriff's office that now is a district attorney investigator for the DA's office in Mendocino County, was involved directly in that case. And he told his best friend, Derek Hendry, my ex-lieutenant at the Willetts Police Department, about the entire child pornography case. Told him about the whole damn thing. And Hendry told me about it. That is how I know about it. I've said this already. So you trying to screw over some innocent dude at the sheriff's office is ridiculous. And especially because he never provided me any information. So you're not going to have any proof of that because it didn't happen. I had told you guys already how I got that info. So, and the fact of the matter is that you're trying to punish people and scurrying around trying to figure out who's providing me information instead of dealing with it. That just shows you how shady the sheriff's office is. They're still not dealing with these problems. They're trying to punish people or freak out and try to find out who's providing me information. I also know that they had a sergeant's meeting approximately a month ago at the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, and they all sit around and they talk about the same shit every month. Like, oh man, what can we do to improve this place? I don't know. And it's like they never get anywhere because the supervision there is horrible. They don't know how to retain employees whatsoever. People are still miserable there, whether they want to admit to that fact or not, because it hurts their egos. But as part of that discussion at that sergeant's meeting, they're trying to figure out who's providing me this information that I'm discussing in my videos, which they're never going to find out, ever. I'm never going to dime out who provides me information, ever. But you guys wouldn't, and Kendall, you never guessed it in a million years, man. So just stop trying. But at this meeting, it came up, and they're trying to find out who it is so that they can fire this person and blah, 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 instead of actually realizing that what I'm saying is the truth and fixing the problem. Fixing the issue. And I do regret, like I stated already, not running for sheriff, because if I would have found out a way to fire every single one of those lieutenants there, because they're all garbage, they're all shady, they all have horrible history, horrible felony level shit. I would have worked on recruitment. I would have personally gone to as many academies as possible to recruit good, solid people. I would have hired back guys that they let go that were good, honest, solid cops, because those dudes didn't march to the beat of these guys' drum because they wanted no part of any of their shady bullshit. So there's a lot of things I would have done, and like I said, I regret not doing it. I know I would have won. I know I would have made a difference. I know what I would have improved that county. I'm a little more, you know, amped up in this video. I'm sure you guys can tell, because I'm so sick of this shit. It's just, it's gone on for far too long. It's still continuing to this day. No one's doing anything about it. And it's truly a shame. It really, really is. And you know, Matt Kendall, unfortunately, like I said, he's going to get the sheriff's spot again. And I feel bad for you guys. I really do, because he's done nothing positive. He's not a politician whatsoever. His articulation is non-existent. He obviously is trash at public speaking. He's done nothing positive for that community since he's been in office. And if there was an actual real election, he wouldn't get elected. You know, there's like a few old people in that county that, you know, respect and liked him, but for the most part, I've been having countless people tell me that they want him out of there. So I don't know. But yeah, so that's going to be it for this video, guys. Just a quick update. If I get anything additional, I'll be sure to let you guys know as usual. And best of luck to Mendocino County. I'm truly sorry that you guys that live in the county itself have to deal with this type of stuff. And it's so hypocritical. It's like, if you're a cop and you're like, the hypocrisy is so deep. It's so deep. And a lot of these guys have no business arresting people for crimes that they've committed themselves or continue to commit themselves, or things that they do off duty. It's just a massive joke, and it's still a massive disservice to you guys out there. So anyone needs to get a hold of me for anything, social media is down below. If you want to reach out to me privately, you can comment on this. And in another week and a half, I'm still going to be doing that video regarding the RICO case that involves Matt Kendall and Jason Cadillo and a bunch of other people that are still employed with the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. We're going to be getting into that. And myself and Zeke Flatten, the guy that's involved in the RICO case, and let you guys know what's up. So take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.